Good afternoon. The good news is you diligently sat there and listened to 5 candidates and you only have 1 more to go. So we'll quickly wrap up here, I guess, and I've got just a few minutes and a few prepared remarks I'd like to say to you. But I appreciate the opportunity to be here today at the Brunswick County Association of Realtors, and I'd like to specifically thank Steve Cannon for the work he's done in putting this together, and everybody that's participated. You've done an excellent job here today. I also appreciate the warm welcome that I've received throughout the 7th District. I've had the opportunity to meet people throughout the 7th District, southeastern North Carolina, and the outpouring of support that I've received has been very humbling. Not only from friends and family, but also from neighbors and complete strangers. And that has been a very welcoming thing for me. I appreciate being here and talking to you, but I also appreciate talking to everyone. And I hear the message, and the message is crystal clear. The message is that Washington is no longer working, and that business as usual in Washington is no longer acceptable to the voters. A little bit about me. I'm an attorney and CPA, having practiced for more than 20 years in North Carolina. The last 10 years I've been practicing in law and public accounting up Highway 17 in Wilmington, North Carolina. In the more than 200 years since my family first settled in southeastern North Carolina, there have been many changes. In agriculture, the cash crops have gone from cotton to tobacco, more recently to the production of livestock and poultry. Textile and furniture manufacturing have given way to the production of pharmaceuticals, aircraft parts, and movies. However, the commitments to our communities, to a strong work ethic, and to a moral foundation have been passed to us from generation to generation. As a young boy, I recall quite vividly, and I appreciate the opportunity and the pleasure to visit my great-grandmother's house. Granny lived in a basic frame house, and by basic I mean there was no indoor plumbing, and she still cooked on a wood stove. From those visits, I vividly remember the novelty of going to the outhouse behind the residence. Fortunately, we rarely visited in the winter. My great-grandmother did not have much in the way of material things, of worldly goods. But I never thought of her as poor. There was never a reason to pity her. The irony, however, struck me that she lived a seemingly contented life without many of the comforts and trappings that many of us took for granted even then. A bigger irony was that her simple way of life took place across the road from a large textile mill. Standing in front of her wood-framed house on that small roadside lot under the shade of mature pecan trees, I was a witness to much history. I was also fortunate to get a glimpse into the future. I learned from that history the importance of family, the value of hard work, and the benefits which come from giving to others. In looking forward toward the future, I could see the successes which could come from applying knowledge and effort. Today, government is going in the wrong direction. And I'm not alone in that belief. More than 80% of North Carolinians believe that Congress is on the wrong path. The candidates from the other parties, they also know, and you heard here today, that the bus is going in the wrong direction. But instead of changing direction to avoid the approaching cliff, one party seems to argue that it would be better to remove the wheels off the bus completely. While that may stop the bus and avoid the approaching cliff, it leaves citizens in a very precarious position. The other party seems to want to experiment to see whether square wheels may work better than round ones. The only thing that succeeds in doing is making sure that the ride toward the abyss is even more uncomfortable. I do not wish to reinvent the wheel. I want our government to work in the ways that it was originally intended, based upon reason, mutual effort, and compromise. We cannot stubbornly stay on the current path. However, the necessary course to which we must turn does not require venturing into uncharted territory. It only requires that we look at the map and look for the trail that was blazed by those who came before us. There already exist ideas and proposals which are multi-partisan and which most persons can support. Republican Congressman David Camp, the chairman of the Tax Writing Ways and Means Committee, after years of effort, recently proposed comprehensive tax reform. However, Speaker of the House John Boehner of Camp's own party scoffed at the proposed legislation. And of course, the Democrats in Congress refused to take up or even consider anything that was proposed by a Republican. Congressman keeps its collective head in the sand rather than their eyes on the road. The Simpson-Bowles Deficit Reduction Commission was a bipartisan effort led by Alan Simpson, a conservative Republican, and Erskine Bowles from North Carolina, a Democrat and Chief of Staff under President Bill Clinton. Despite majority support of that commission, both Democrats and Republicans in Congress stuck the report in a drawer and refused to take action on it, refused to even consider it. Perhaps the only thing worse than taking a trip and not having a map with you is refusing to listen or take good advice once you have reluctantly stopped and asked for directions. Good ideas are good ideas regardless of which party proposes them. A light in the darkness should be a welcome sight to a weary traveler, regardless of who it is that holds the torch. Rather than leading citizens toward a better future, Washington has fostered the dependency of the American people on government for more than a century. Bureaucracies have grown, self-reliance has waned, the power of the state has expanded, and the individual liberties of the people have come under attack. It is unreasonable to expect that citizens, program beneficiaries, and even special interest groups can be weaned from the government teeth immediately. Nevertheless, we must change course. Social Security and Medicare are approaching insolvency. The national debt will soon exceed $20 trillion. And in the future, simply paying interest on that debt could cannibalize all of the discretionary spending of the federal government. And most troubling, Americans have lost respect for our political leaders and for our government. Without the buy-in from citizens, no amount of government coercion or force will make our society peaceful, productive, and prosperous. Movement toward a better course must come, but it must come incrementally, step by step. The ultimate goal of every political leader should be to work himself out of a job. However, no government will ever be perfect. Neither a single political party nor one individual has all the answers. But our government can be better. It can be more efficient. The true power of government comes from the people. And the people are most powerful when they are provided opportunity, freedom, and liberty to pursue happiness and success in whatever way each individual may choose to define those things. My message is built upon histories from long ago and lessons learned from the more recent past. Unfortunately, the clarity of that age-old message has been distorted by the noise of politicians in Washington. I want North Carolinians and future generations to benefit from and to be proud of the work that you and I do here and now. I would ask that you consider joining with me in voting for a different tomorrow, a better tomorrow. And I would ask you to consider voting Casteen for Congress in November. Thank you very much.
My fellow Realtors, you have heard